Welcome to the Brass and Woodwind Shop. This video is about really stuck tuning slides. These techniques are not techniques you want to start with, so if you have not tried the other techniques, try those first before doing these. And use these techniques only if all the other techniques have failed. For links to those videos, look in the description below. Before we get started, remember if you are going to try this, use the appropriate safety gear, and also remember stuck tuning slides take a lot of patience. There are many different opinions on pulling stuck tuning slides, so this is what works for me. Feel free to leave your opinions and have discussions in the comments below section. Just make sure that they're kind. Any mean comments will be deleted. Also, as with any repair, if you're not comfortable, don't try it. Just take it to the repair shop and let them do it for you. And if you are comfortable with it, go ahead and try it. It's always a good idea to practice on a junk instrument first so you don't ruin your instrument if you make any mistakes. This slide is really stuck. I've tried all the normal things to get it out, the simple things. Now I'm going to have to do some unsoldering. I still have one more stuck tube right here. The other slides I've already done a whole bunch of unsoldering to get those unstuck. On my bench I have several pieces of the slides that I've been working on getting unstuck. And you can see there the thick layer of lime deposits, and that's what caused the slides to be so stuck. I put some penetrating oil on this a day or so ago, and it's been soaking all that time, so hopefully that helps loosen it up just a little bit. Penetrating oil usually does not work by itself, it just helps it come out a little bit easier when it does come out. You always check to see if both of the slide tubes are stuck or just one of them. In this case, they're both stuck. When you work on unsoldering this, there are two places that can come apart. It can either come apart right here and just the crook comes off, or you can take off the ferrules, these tubes right here, and then this whole thing comes off, including this. In this case, I'm going to take the ferrules off too, and the reason for that is because this brace is hard soldered onto this, so it's going to come off as one unit. Now I'm heating this up, and you have to heat it to around 450 degrees to melt the solder. So when that's heated up, I'm going to try to take this apart, and you always want to use a cloth or something, or you burn yourself. Sometimes it takes a few times to get it loosened up, but it's better for it to not be hot enough, and you have to do it a couple times, than it is for it to be too hot and burn lacquer and cause other problems. So you just do what you have to do. It's not coming off nicely. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So I'm just going to heat that up a little more, and then I'm going to take a rod, or actually a drumstick, tap that out. Okay. Still not coming out, so I'm going to apply a little more heat and do it again. And you just keep doing it till it comes out. Sometimes it takes a little while. And if you're wondering what the fire is, that's just penetrating oil burning, so that's not really a big deal. You gotta be quick there. That's not actually working too well, so I'm just going to try some gentle persuasion here. Just a little bit of leverage. Might burn the drumstick, but that's okay. Let's see, come on. Come on, get out of there. That does not want to come out. I finally got it off. You didn't see it because I edited it out, but this took about 15 minutes to get off, but there it is. That leaves you with two stuck tubes. And the reason we took this off is because when you pull, it takes a lot more force than if you can twist it. So if you can get a little leverage on this tube and just twist it back and forth just a little bit, eventually it will come loose, and then you can just work it out. To get it out, I'm going to use this slide. Since it is the same size, it will fit right on here. I just have to solder it back on. Okay, there we go. Then just wait a few seconds for the solder to harden. I waited a minute, it's cooled off. Now I'm going to take this, I'm just going to carefully twist it back and forth just a little bit. It doesn't take a lot of times. Okay, hear that noise? That means it's coming. There we go. There, we got the one slide out. Now we have to do the other one. That one was not nearly as stuck as I thought it was going to be. That came right out. Now we're going to try the other one. Same deal, just solder that on. Now the other slide is soldered and ready to go, so I'm just going to do that. Same thing. Oh, That was too easy. Usually it's not that easy. Usually I like it when slides come out easy, but for the sake of the video I was hoping it'd come out a little harder. But we'll try this next tube here, the last one left on here, and we'll see if that one might come out a little harder. This is called a slide tube expander, and I'm not going to expand the slides, but I'm going to try to use this to grip onto it and pull it out. Another thing you want to watch out for is when you put the expander in, you don't want to go too far, because that can start messing up the other part of the slide tube. There are 3 sizes of slide expanders, and since this is a euphonium, I'm using the largest of the 3. And I'm just going to put this in here, tighten that up, and I'm not going to crank down that hard because I do not want this to actually expand. But since this has the ferrule and the slide tube inside of that, it should be able to handle not expanding. If it doesn't get pulled out easily, I'm going to try it again. I'll show you that one. Okay, now I'll tighten up a little more. And see, I'm just doing the back and forth. I'm not pushing really hard and then pulling really hard because that way it'll just ruin things. It's just a tiny little bit of motion. It's all you need, and eventually it will come out. If I really do have to crank down on the slide expander to keep the slide from actually expanding, I'll just take these, they're burnishing rings, and they're all different sizes. And this is the size I need. You just take the size that fits over that, and you just put it on there, and that will just keep the slide from expanding too. So if I put that in there, that allows me to really crank down on this. And I have a soft jaw pliers, and I can tighten that up a little more if I need to. And now again, I'm just going to give it the back and forth. Okay, it is slipping a bit, so I need to tighten it up some more. And then just the back and forth motion. Sometimes it takes a while. I might be doing this for 10 or 15 minutes, but eventually it will come loose. Usually that works, but it's not working, so we move on to the next step. Since that didn't work, it's still stuck. There's one more thing to try. It's rather violent, but it almost always works. But you try to avoid it if you can. Now I'm going to take this ferrule off of there. So let's see, just hook up the slide expander to hold on to it. Then I'm going to heat this up and try to get that off. I got the ferrule off. I'm going to need a dent ball for this, and what these dent balls are, they go from 1/4 inch up to 3/4 of an inch in 5/1000ths of an inch increment, so there are 101 of these. You find the one that fits. I think in this case it's this one. Yes. This is going to keep me from destroying the slide when I pull it out. So just put that in there, just a little bit. Like I said before, this is a repair you want to avoid if you can. And then you take a vise grips. Yes, I know that sounds terrible to do to an instrument, but sometimes you need to. You take it and you squeeze on there like that, and you just gently twist it just a little bit back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And eventually it will come out, or it should. Beyond this, there's really only one other thing to do, and I'll show you that if it doesn't come out. A few things to watch out for when you grip. Make sure it's on the soldered part and not on the brass colored part. And the reason for that is when you put everything back together, you're going to mar it up with this, so you want it to, so that it's covered up and you can't see what you've messed up. Also, you want to keep an eye on the braces that are holding the tube on and the rest of the solder joints so that it doesn't twist everything, because you can mess up some braces if you're not careful. So I'm just going to keep going back and forth, and then you listen for that. Oh, there it is. Can you hear that? Okay, that means it's coming loose. So just keep going, and eventually it will come apart more. Okay, here it is. Now it's coming out. Going to release the vise grips. There is some marring on the slide, and that's going to happen, but then when you put the ferrule back over it, it's going to cover that up. So take that out. If this does get expanded a little bit and the ferrule does not fit on top of there, just take the burnishing ring, the correct size one, and then just shrink it back a little bit, and then it should fit. That technique almost always works, but if it does not, you're left with one last option. If that way wouldn't have worked, what I would have done is unsired the slide tubes like this. This is actually a different one, but I'm just using it to show you. There's the inner side tube and then the outer side tube. You just take them off as a unit. And then you go to your trusty vise and you just take it and carefully squeeze it just a little bit, just until it moves. And not much more. You wouldn't want it to go all the way in like that, or else you'd lose it. And it would be a lot harder to work on then. And then after you did that, you just solder this back together and then repeat with the last technique. And by that point it should be loosened up sufficiently so that it will just pull out. If that way does not work, then you just have to replace the tuning slides. That's about the last option you have. But in my more than 20 years of repairing instruments and thousands of stuck tuning slides, I've only not been able to fix one of them. All the slide tubes are pulled, and all you have left to do now is a whole bunch of soldering, but that's for another video.